It's Friday night on the harbor, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for hockey. UMass Boston and the University of Southern Maine squaring off on a day when both teams looking toward the playoff picture. I'm Milton Posner. I got Matt Meisenbacher here with me. And let's kick it off with where these teams are. The Beacons coming in at 7-10, the Huskies at 3-13-1, but both teams looking to advance in the standings.
Yeah, big time. This is a big game, I think, for both teams here tonight, and a little bit of a trap game. This is alumni weekend for UMass Boston. Some of the alumni coming into town tonight will be in attendance, and the rivalry game tomorrow against Babson, I think this is the one you got to have, right? You're looking for a 4-point weekend, as you mentioned, to climb the standings. Starts here tonight. It's against a Southern Maine team that is in the bottom ranking of the conference. You got to have these wins if you expect to finish in the top 4.
We're going to take you first to a look at the season statistics to see how these two teams stack up. And Matt, what's standing out to you from this set?
Well, you know, I think the penalty kills look pretty good, but if you take a look at the power play percentage for Southern Maine there at 22%, that's pretty high. That's number 2 in the conference. And the penalty kill for the Beacons also ranked pretty high at 88%. So I think for me, that's going to be something to note here. There's obviously going to be some power plays, I would think, for Southern Maine. How does this penalty kill for UMass Boston stack up against it? Might be the difference in this game.
Well, you can see the discipline. You look down at the penalty minutes at the bottom of that table. You can see UMass Boston has struggled with this a little bit as the season has gone on. So a little bit of discipline will go a long way here today as we get you to the matchup to watch. On the UMass Boston side, it's going to be Evan Guggens, the junior out of Braintree, Massachusetts, who has really come on strong. He's a transfer out of Norwich, and he has really brought a lot of juice and a lot of vibrance to this UMass Boston lineup. We're going to take a quick break for the anthem and be right back with the rest of the pregame and puck drop from Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. Stick around.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
Passion's love. Passion is love for what you do. Because I think when you face challenges, it comes down to...
With the anthem sung, we go quickly to the pregame matchup of players to watch. It's going to be Evan Guggens on the Beacon side, Curtis Judd on the Southern Maine side, and both of these guys among the leaders for their teams in scoring.
Yeah, for me, the Judd kid point per game, leads his team in points. A first line on the left side. Going to have to take note of him here tonight. And I think for me, this Beacons team has been waiting for somebody to step up into an offensive role. And Goggins has really taken the reins. It been hot, I think, the second half of the season. Starting to find a connection with some of these players. And that chemistry is what this team needs right now. So look for him to maybe get a couple points here tonight.
You think about the graduation of Nitkin and Peters, departure of Skinner. Beacons have lost a lot of goal-scoring talent. And the $4 million question, as Pete Belisle said at the start of this year, was going to be who would fill the gap. And Guggens, Mike Manzo as well. A lot of the newcomers have been answering those questions. 4 out of the top 5 point getters are newcomers. A couple of freshmen and a couple of transfers from inside the house and from the MAC. As we get ready for puck drop here on Alumni Weekend, the Beacons looking to start off strong. But Southern Maine will take the opening face-off, and away we go. Thank you for tuning in here, watching the Beacons Broadcast Network. And here comes Southern Maine. It's Austin Marini popping into the zone, and immediately a whistle just 15 seconds in will send the puck back out.
Quick offsides. I'll be curious to see the pace of this game and also the physicality. Southern Maine, a team that's traditionally been a little bit larger than most teams in the conference, like to hit. Not sure if that's necessarily the MO of this squad, but I know it's in their DNA.
Beacons trying to stick it out of the zone. It's Labrizzi dumping it down, but no one to give chase there as it comes all the way back around. Slingshot in, stick through, high over the crossbar, and the Beacons run it down. Jacob Banks with a flip into the neutral zone, but Southern Maine recovers there. On a quick takeaway. A chance for a first offensive for the Beacons. Banks comes in, easy pad save there. Mason Palmer getting the start in net. That one sticked high over his head. Beacons go for their first change of the game. Most of the Southern Maine skaters have been out there for the entire first minute. Now here's a takeaway. Corey Clifton tried a little toe drag move, couldn't get around the defender. And the Beacons will restart in the neutral zone. Down the side, here comes Roland, flip down around the net. Corey Clifton giving chase. Beacons have seemed the faster team in the first minute and change. Pad save in, another try, but didn't quite have the angle. Clifton fires, shoots a little bit wide of the post, and corralled by the pad of Palmer anyway. The Beacons setting the tone early. Majority of the possession, and a good number of shots to go along with it, and here they come again. Mike Manzo, dispossessed in the neutral zone and flipped down all the way to Best off the stick of Cole Willett. Manzo on the mishandle. And now here come the Beacons once more. Evan Guggens down beneath the net all the way around looking for company. Slingshots in, and it's deflected in front of the crease. Beacons once again frantic with the attempts in the early going. Already been peppering the net, but no really grade A chances thus far. Guggens in the neutral zone, it's taken away. It's Jiwa. One man to beat. Beautiful move. Oh, and he couldn't quite keep the puck on his stick through the crease.
Yeah, he was in. Looked like that was going to be a 1-0 lead for the Huskies. He lost the puck. Here's another chance.
And once again, it's Jiwa, and once again, the puck just out of reach for the sophomore out of Calgary. Beacons coming back the other way. Alex Duncan. And now a fight below the net. But Jiwa with a couple of chances out of pretty much nothing. And made the Beacons perhaps a little more wary.
Yeah, the Beacons are fortunate there. Got caught once, almost twice on the same shift. And that's something they got to talk about defensively. You can't be having that guy slipping behind your D this early in the game.
Here's Andy Walker now with a couple of Huskies in front of him playing keep away with a puck. And Ty Matthews coming in to help out. Below the net, Carabelli back to Walker. Playing a little bit of a shoebox here along the near side corner. Flings in, and it looked like it caught the stick of Nick Nault, on the way through. Banks surveying, centering pass, shot, deflected, and it had the open post. But Kalei Bankowskis arrived maybe a split second too late. Chances are there for the Beacons. And the ref saw it exactly the way you did. We're going to have our first penalty of the game whistled against the Huskies. And UMass Boston going to get a chance to flex their power play muscles in the early going.
Yeah, this power play can be attributed to some hard work there. A few shifts now where the Beacons have really come with speed and done a nice job forechecking, really kind of pinning those Huskies in their own zone. You can see that hook there. That's kind of a tired penalty. Trying to get off the ice. You're taking a little bit extra there. Get that puck up underneath the armpit. Easy call for the referee. Beacons with a chance here early on.
The Beacons power play unit and the Huskies kill unit, both 7th in the conference out of 10. So a couple of evenly matched squads here. Guggens above the right dot. Swerving in, Beacons with a patient approach. Guggens slap shot didn't make its way through. Deflected in front by McElhaney. So it's a 2-minute penalty whistled against Nick Nault for hooking. We're not seeing the power play clock on the scoreboard tick down, but it's about 30 seconds gone.
Huskies haven't noticed it.
And now it starts to move.
That's interesting. I wonder, referees should be all over that.
The clock that you're seeing on your screen is accurate. The clock in the building's about 30 seconds behind it as the Beacons move it down below the goal line. Dakota Kincannon back to Googans above the dot. Googans slap shot, didn't make it through.
That's 3 blocks now. He's got to find a way to get these pucks through.
Coleman,
That's another one.
4 blocks.
Yeah.
And
3 from Googans and another one from the top of the key.
McElhaney with some terrific defense at the point of attack. Googans, that one makes it through, but well wide of the post. 45 seconds to go on the power play, and once again the clock in the building about 35 seconds behind. It did not start right away.
Another block. My goodness.
It's a stone wall in the slot. That one gets through, and a nice stop there from Mason Palmer. Slap shot sails by. So the Beacons starting to get the shots through to the net, but
that's big right there. Southern Maine can't change. Beacons can. This is a big opportunity.
And the power play clock in the building has now gone off. We've got 10 seconds by our count, which is by just the scoreboard clock.
I think we might be the only ones who had the right clock in the entire rink. Neither coaching staff really noticed. And I guess how would they, right? They don't really have somebody on the bench with a stop clock.
Yeah.
They lost, as you said, about 10 seconds there.
Well, the only way you notice it, I suppose, is if you happen to glance at the clock when it hadn't started yet.
Correct.
Played about 30 seconds of power play before it did. But the Huskies ultimately did spend the right amount of time killing off that penalty, and a very strong kill it was. Block after block. And now the Beacons finally having to defend in their own defensive zone.
And that was a good power play for the Beacons. The one thing they couldn't do was get pucks through. Only a couple shots on goal, I believe, at least one, maybe 2, as Keegan will fire that from the neutral zone, get a whistle.
Looked like a chance for the Beacons to regroup, and they will. 13 minutes and change to go in the first period of play.
But that's really frustrating as a power play. You're getting these looks and not even getting them towards the net, and that's something that needs to be discussed on the bench with that power play group. Is you can't afford to be getting power plays and not even getting chances towards the net. Can't be having shots blocked like that consistently.
Tipped ahead now, giving chase is Austin Marini. One of the top liners for this Huskies team, one of the top scorers as well. Krapinski tripped up as he came across the blue line. Inside of 13 minutes now is Jacob Banks, who's been very active in the early going, scraps for it along the near side, and Krapinski with a nice outlet to Gino Carabelli. Dump off pass. Bankowskis gets to it first, and the centering feed alertly broken up by Nolan McElhaney, who's played some terrific defense on this shift. And will finally go for a change here. So terrific shift from the top line, right defenseman Nolan McElhaney, the senior out of nearby Natick, Mass. And an icing call down the other end.
One of the things I really like the start of this hockey game, almost halfway through this period, the attack of the Beacons. They seem to be controlling the pace of play. One of the things we've talked about on this broadcast is coming from Southern Maine, that's a few hours in the bus, and you're gonna have some bus legs, and it's a real thing. You try to warm up as best you can, but when you've been sitting for that long, kind of in a cramped space, it just has a way of kind of keeping your legs a little flat. It's a good save there from Best.
And he goes as flat as those legs as well to keep the puck out of the net.
It just takes longer to get warmed up, and I think you're seeing that here from the Huskies.
The activity starting to resurface a little bit for them. It's a nice little poke check away there off the stick of Cole Willett to keep the Beacons out of the offensive zone. Comes skipping on through. And taken there by Blake Coleman, the transfer out of Stevenson. Swerving through the neutral zone. Coleman trying to go coast to coast. And bowls over the goalie. The whistle's going to blow. Mason Palmer's none too pleased, and neither are his teammates.
Well, let's see the call here. It's going to come down to where the referee felt the contact was made. If it's outside of the paint, I could see a goaltender interference call here because I didn't see Coleman make any effort to pull up, and that's something referees look for. If the forward, even on full speed on a rush, if you make an effort to pull up, referees more times than not will give you the benefit of the doubt. If you don't and just bull rush the goalie, you can oftentimes get called, and it looks like the Beacons are going to get called here.
It was Blake Coleman, the defenseman.
There's a replay. Yeah, and you can see just no effort. And I have to agree with the referees there. It's tough on the forward because you're trying to beat that. You go from trying to beat the defenseman wide at full speed, right, with leverage, then all of a sudden you're right on top of the goaltender. There's not a lot of room there to try and pull up, but you got to make an attempt. And the referee, I didn't see one. Referee didn't see one either.
Shot coming in from Judd is deflected before it could make its way through to Sam Best in net. As the second best power play unit in the conference, now going to go to work against the third best kill unit. As Blake Coleman, goes to the penalty box, the Beacons' first minor of the game. And a functional power play clock here is telling us 1.5 minutes remaining. One-timer pad save by Best at the top of the crease. Whistling shot on the way through from Cole Woolett, and now here comes Benkauskas. It's a 2-on-3. And not covering it up, and it's loose. Oh, and a big-time save from Curtis Judd there as it came through the butterfly into the crease. Out of the hands of Mason Palmer.
Yeah, Palmer trying to get greedy and make a breakout pass from his own crease. It almost cost him a goal.
Loose in the slot, and the Beacons can't quite discharge it. Halfway home on the power play. Just about halfway home in the first period of play. And seriously threatening for the first time are these Southern Maine Huskies. Flip shot in, Woolett didn't make its way through as it caromed off the skate of his teammate Ritmo. And only as far as neutral ice can the Beacons eject it. Huskies go for almost a platoon swap here. The Beacons going to take the opportunity to swap again. 25 seconds on the power play. Thread through pass caroms off the stick of Dylan Hullaby. And a whistle behind the net with 16 seconds remaining on the man advantage.
Yeah, Keegan's cage got unbuckled there. Good whistle by the referee to take note. 16 seconds, as you mentioned, left on this power play for the Huskies here. Haven't been generated too much. A few opportunities there, I think, got blocked. I don't know if they necessarily have a shot on goal yet on this power play. It looked like a couple times they had some shot attempts, but I don't know if it got all the way to Best.
Yes, sir. 7 shots on goal for the Beacons to this point, just 2 for the Huskies. Once again, UMass Boston making a foray. And in the afterglow of the power play, what can the Huskies do? They can earn an offsides call, it would appear, as Zach Desmarais traversed the blue line just a split second too early.
That's got to be really frustrating if you're Coleman. You have one more second, you're home free, you can get to the bench. Now instead you got to stay in the box for a face-off. And I would imagine one of the more frustrating things if you take a penalty to kind of get it rubbed in your nose one more time.
Neutral ice face-off as Coleman up on the rail. And after the ceremonial second, he'll revisit the bench. Back to even strength. That one flipped up and off the rafters by Pat Keegan. And that'll be a defensive zone face-off for Keegan's Beacons.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Thank you.
You're going to use that? You might have to write that one down.
9 minutes 24 to go. The action seems to have evened out a little bit. But can the Huskies keep the offensive momentum going on even strength? And not immediately anyway. Grady Friedman over the blue line, speeding his way down the right side. Fling shot right to the chest of Palmer.
Looked like he didn't get a good read on it. Popped up above the net, and it looked like he kind of confused him. Maybe came off the blade a little weird.
Oh, and a big hit over there. It looked like that was Saborin trying to lay the check on the far side. Puck chopped behind the net. Giving chase for it is Nault. Lifted up into the neutral zone, and only as far as Blake Coleman back into the game after taking that penalty.
Nice pass.
A chance in front. Lifted high by Manzo.
Really like that pass by Friedman there. Just kind of laid it into an area on an indirect and allowed his teammate Manzo to just come in with full speed. Manzo missed it high, but a nice little play there in zone by the two freshmen. And they've been, I would say, some of the two best forwards these Beacons have so far this year.
Oh, and a chance here. Krapinski on the pickup. He's got the lane, fires, and sticked away nicely by Palmer. Got a better read on that one with nobody in front of him. An aggressive play from Krapinski after the shot. He's everywhere on this shift. And Huskies will have to try to reset. Instead, it's the Beacons now on the breakout chance. Kincannon swings wide. Googans couldn't take it with him. And a feed into the empty ice is instead going to give it back to the Huskies with inside of 8 minutes to play in the first period. Still no score from the Harbor. I'm Milton Posner. He's Matt Meisenbacher. Thank you so very much for joining us on a lovely, albeit slightly snowy Friday night. Slingshot glove save best, as Austin Marini had a good rip.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a nice shot there from right where you want it. Any forward gets a shot from the slot there. That's a great A opportunity, and Best got a good read. I liked his angle on that play. I think partial screen too. It looked like the defense was taking away some of his eye line, but he was able to see that all the way into the glove, made a great save, and not a lot of action from him in this period, so good to see he's on his game.
Jacob Banks fighting for it, but the Huskies keep it in. Judd swing wide. Oh, and about 6 inches wide of the post on the shot from Marini, who's getting increasingly involved in the offense. The forecheck a little bit more aggressive here from the Huskies than we've seen in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree. First time we've seen them really being able to hold that forecheck so far tonight, I should say.
Carabelli through the neutral zone, right of the right dot, below the goal line now, and looking for some company as the Beacons were swapping a couple defenders. Now to the slot, fires, bounces through. Bankauskas can't get in. It's still loose in the slot and comes kicking out to Coleman.
That's unbelievable. Another save by Palmer. That's unbelievable. How that didn't go in, I have no idea. That was a terrible defensive switch from the Huskies there. They just let completely unattended. They double-teamed the wrong guy. I think that's just complete miscommunication. And Carabelli was all by himself just walking into the slot he had all day. I don't know if that shot got partially blocked. It looked like it, and then there was just traffic in front in the crease. It looked like Beacons at least got 2 whacks at it. Palmer looked like a fish on the deck of a boat. He was flopping around, was able to make, I think, 2 saves on that, and then a third from the blue line. So some great goaltending there by Palmer to keep this scoreless.
Not for the first time, the puck has popped loose in the crease behind Mason Palmer. And not for the first time, both he and his teammates flailing as best they can to keep it out. We've seen a couple of defensive saves to this point, and we are still scoreless 14 minutes into the action. The Huskies know, or have to know, that they're playing with fire here. UMass Boston has to know their moment's coming. Can the Huskies flip the momentum here? They're going to try. It's Caden Eilot flipping it all the way through, and Best covering it up to force a face-off in front of him.
Well, let's take a look at this replay here. You see Carabelli coming off the wall completely unattended. That shot got blocked. Now watching the crease, I thought that one went in, and then I thought the Beacons might have got another whack. This is a great angle here. Watch, just complete miscommunication from the Huskies. I mean, that's right on the goal line.
Ooh.
I don't know how that didn't go. It looked like for sure it was going to be 1-0, and then next thing you know, Palmer's got it, and it's a face-off. In zone, not at center ice.
The Leprechaun on the crossbar smiles upon the Huskies on that possession and keeps their net clean. 5.5 minutes to go now as Corey Clifton battling for it, but ultimately it comes careening back into the neutral zone. Here comes Pilara, flings it in, but ratio of Huskies to Beacons not quite what he wants, and the white and blue boys will take it from there. Thread through pass misses Friedman. We've seen the Beacon forwards give some good chase here on these thread through passes that have by and large been a little bit too far out in front for them, as Best once again clutches to the chest. A couple words being exchanged after the whistle there between Tyler Gardner of the Huskies and Mike Manzo of the Beacons. There's some residual chippiness from that play between Coleman and Palmer a little while ago. 5 minutes remaining in the first period of play, still no score. The Beacons leading the shots on goal tally 12-4, but not a whole lot to show for it. Oh, and a nice little pass there from Kincannon as he went to the ground. Little shove up through the chest from Christopher Morrison, delivered to Krivtsov. Beacons will keep it. Oh, beautiful passing in the middle of the ice there, but Kincannon couldn't quite hold on to the puck. All the way around the board's complete circuit as the Beacons go for a partial change. And now a complete change. Jacob Banks running with Bankauskas, centering feeds broken up, clatters over to the opposite side. And now the Huskies trying to break out. Pass ahead, Curtis Judd. Beautiful little move there, but nobody with him. And they'll have to recover. Marini, and it's taken away by Jacob Banks, flying up the near side boards, chucking it down, and Palmer receives behind the net. Banks has been very active every shift he's been on.
Yeah, you've mentioned his name a lot.
Kalei Bankauskas starting to be, as there's a pass in front. Saborin gloved away by Best.
What a save. What a stop.
And much like the other chances for the Huskies, it's largely materialized almost out of nowhere.
Well, that's a great play.
Yeah.
That was the play of the period right there. Just 3 passes connected in a row and sent the Huskies in on a mini breakaway there. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Des Murray on the partial breakaway there, 16, and Best made a great save, went down the splits, able to get the glove up high, kept his team scores. He's had 2 of those now, 2 good saves this period.
5'11" goaltender making himself big in the net to keep the game scoreless. So both teams showing some fight, both teams showing some promise. But the scoreboard remaining idle. That one's tapped through the middle. Best moved toward it, but it came all the way through, harmlessly skittering to the opposite corner. And now a chance for the Beacons. Corey Clifton with 2 defenders to beat. And sticked away nicely there by Labrizzi. Out through the middle, tap shot. Hullaby tried it from distance, and Best turns him away.
That's a tricky little shot there. Good save by Best.
Clifton, he's got Manzo to one side, Guggens to the other.
Yeah,
And the whistle blows. It looked like an offsides call, perhaps on 2 different Beacons, but certainly on Manzo up there on the far side.
Yeah, tough when you're, and that's where the chemistry comes into play, right? So if you play with Clifton a lot, you know he might make a move at that blue line there. And if you have that chemistry, you hold up because you're expecting it. Not the case. These guys maybe don't know each other as well with the 2 freshmen on the line with the junior, so they're blowing into the zone thinking he's going to find a way either to get it to him or dump it in. And that's just the little stuff you could talk about on the bench, like, hey, in those situations, let me make a move, hold up a second, see if we can get a rush off it.
Thread through pass. Looked like one Beacons defender at the very least got nutmegged, and taking it right back is Gardner. Flings it across the crease, but no one there to receive it. And the Beacons will change possession. Guggens on the chase. Jazz Krivtsov joining him behind the net. Beacons coming out in front now. Who wants it? Guggens. It's still loose in the slot, but enough legs and sticks there to form a barrier.
Yeah, he had Krivtsov wide open in the slot. He's got to get him that puck. Krivtsov was just sitting there unattended, and Guggens tried to make a move on his own, didn't really get anything off of it. I think he's got to find Krivtsov there just waiting for the one-timer, and Krivtsov's got a great shot on top of it.
And Krivtsov has 3 goals on the season, 2 assists to go along with it in 11 games of action. Inside of a minute now, Kalei Bankauskas once again tossing the puck out and around and fetching it himself. Centering pass, Carabelli, and pops out to Coleman. Banks with a flip around pass, broken up. That's Matthew Saborin. And once again, Saborin behind the net looking for a breakout pass, flips it off the boards only as far as the blue line, and Nick DeLucio. Beacons go for likely their last change of the period inside of 20 seconds to go now. The Huskies will fling it down and give chase for one last try. Alex Duncan toss ahead. Andy Walker, he's got a chance as the quarter ends.
That's a penalty.
And indeed it will be. The whistle blows with a couple tenths left on the clock. It should be a penalty to start the second period.
You know, what's interesting about that is it was pretty close to being a penalty shot. And in all my years of hockey, I don't know if I've ever seen a penalty shot at the exact end of a period, what they would do there. If they would give him to it with no time on the clock, or he would start, I'm sure they wouldn't have to start the second with a penalty shot, right? That would have been something cool. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
That is a fair question. We need to get a rules expert in here.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, penalty, it'll absolutely be a power play for the Beacons coming out. And I'll tell you what, I think in that first period, from my perspective, I think the Beacons are definitely going to be able to score a couple goals tonight with the way that they're forechecking. They're causing havoc for a solid 20 minutes there. They were able to cause a lot of havoc in the zone for the Huskies. Huskies having a tough time breaking out. Their passing is just not good enough. And the amount of speed and pressure that this Beacons team is putting on these D and sometimes the wingers, even on that first pass, I think they're going to create some turnovers and be able to score off of that. So that's something I would highlight. If you're the Huskies, you got to feel pretty good. You had a couple scoring opportunities there. Probably not your best effort in terms of the speed or the aggression that you're trying to play with, but being on the road 0-0 after the first period, I think you're okay. Probably make some adjustments there, but I don't think you have to do anything too drastic. Like I said, you were able to get some scoring opportunities there when you really didn't deserve too much with the way the Beacons shots on goal in the period, 15 to only 5. So I think you're okay. Just make some minor adjustments. Pretty good period overall.
Well, we're seeing the Beacons have a 15-5 shot on goal advantage here, but haven't been able to leverage that into an advantage on the scoreboard. What's missing from the attack?
So for me, this is just kind of where this team has been all year is they don't just they need that extra gear offensively. They don't have a go-to guy right now. They're starting to develop, but it's not there, and I think you're seeing a little bit of that. When they possess in the offensive zone, we saw it a little bit on the power play with some of their shots being blocked. You saw it a few times where they're doing all the right things in the offensive zone, then they get an opportunity. You saw it in front of the net there. Palmer somehow comes up with 2 or 3 saves right on his doorstep. Beacons just aren't able to push it home. So I think you're seeing a team that's starting to slowly come along offensively, but this team is just not as gifted as some of these other Beacons teams when it comes to offense, which is fine. Still win hockey games that way, but I think you saw a little bit of that. That first period is kind of a microcosm of what you've seen so far this season with the Beacons.
There's going to be a 2-minute minor penalty on Nolan McElhaney when we come back, but we're going to step aside for the first intermission here. No score from the Harbor.
Passion's love. Passion is love for what you do. Because I think when you face challenges, it comes down to how much you want it and how much you love it. Passion is what keeps you going forward. Seeing so many people that were like-minded and so hardworking in their sport and academics, being surrounded by like-minded people makes you want to be more passionate. I think it pushes you to a different level that maybe you didn't think you had. And you can do the best of both worlds and love all of it.
Proportion to me is the lived experience of our Division III student athletes. They balance life from an academic perspective and the rigors of competing at a high level, bonding with teammates and building lifelong friendships. But they also are involved in their communities. They work jobs and internships and volunteer. They've learned to be resilient. Diverse experiences are setting them up for the future.
Passion's love.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
I believe sportsmanship is it's a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a-lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well, but it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he should have had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town, UMass Boston. Boston's urban, public research university for the 21st century.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there is a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters. I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, or it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes to choose.
People at UMass Boston, they're here because they know they can have an impact. Not just on research, but on people, on their students.
This is just a starting point. It only has potential to grow, and it has a big potential to grow up.
You're really having a direct impact on people's lives, and you can see that now, and you can see that years from now.
So I think it's becoming like the place that people want to go.
What UMass Boston is able to offer to its young people certainly stands out to that mission that was set right out in the beginning. It's something UMass Boston should be and can be very proud about.
"20 minutes, 27 shots, no goals through the first period of play at UMass Boston between the Beacons and the Huskies." Matt Meisenbacher, you're looking at this. What's the story of the first period for you?
Well, take a look at the shots on goal, right? Beacons, obvious first thing that stands out to me with 18. I mean, that's 2 periods worth almost of shots on goal. So they're finding ways to fire, but we talked a little bit about the end of the period, just continuously having trouble finding ways to finish, right? And I think now you're starting to see, when the first half of the season, they really struggling offensively, couldn't really get anything done. Now at least the forecheck is working, they're creating turnovers, they're getting good opportunities. Now it's just about finding that last gear of finding ways to finish, and I think that was the one thing missing from otherwise a really strong period for the Beacons. I think that was one of the stronger forechecks that I've seen from this team, so really got to like what you see there, and if you're the Huskies, I think you've really got to give it to your goaltender here. I mean, some great saves in that period to keep it scoreless. You generated some opportunities of your own. Let's not forget, Best made a nice glove save and a partial breakaway save in that period, 9 shots on goal, 2 of which were grade A opportunities. So really, again, 2, I think, solid sides of the coin here. The second period, I think, again, if the Beacons can forecheck like they did in that first period, they're going to find a way to score here eventually. There's too many opportunities that they're putting on top of the Husky goaltender right now.
And we're seeing, like you mentioned, the top line here, and it's not to say that this is for no reason. The top line here is 2 freshmen, Mike Manzo, Grady Friedman, alongside the junior vet, Corey Clifton. The second line has got some youth on it too, but a little bit more experience. Third line's a mix, so you kind of have these freshmen up and down the lineup. Takes Pete Belisle a little while to figure out what lines he's wanting, and then it takes those lines a little while to gel.
Well, yeah, he's a jumbler. So on a win, he's probably keeping the lineup the same. Barring injury or someone does something egregious, he's one of these coaches doesn't like to change it. And on a loss, he'll jumble. He'll throw everything in a blender, hit go, and see what comes out on the other side. And I think in doing that, you do find different combinations, some of which you'll never probably try again, and you've learned, right? That one didn't work. But in certain cases, I know for a fact Clifton, Manzo, and Friedman were not on a line even probably, a few weekends ago. And so you see things in practice, then I would agree with you. I think that line has looked strong. I like what I've seen from the second line. If they can find maybe a little bit more, not as much of a supporting role, but maybe find some offense on their own. There's a lot of things to like here, but those two freshmen in Friedman and Manzo, I think could really be a catalyst for this team moving forward.
I had a coach tell me a little more than a week ago that she was planning on jumbling up her line. She was planning on experimenting with no clear goal in mind, no specific combination she was trying to tap into, no specific things she was looking to unlock. She just wanted to move them around and see what would happen, because it's kind of that tinkering thing of, I don't know what the combination is going to be, but I want to find it out now, as opposed to because somebody gets injured.
Right.
And I want to find it out now as opposed to in the playoffs. I guess the question is, how late in the season do you go with the tinkering?
Eventually, you got to reach a point where you're pretty locked in. You might make a few minor moves that you feel confident about, but I think you make a great point. There's a little bit in being a coach and almost being like a chemist, and you're trying different combinations to see what gives you the best results. I think you're reaching that point pretty soon. I think when you reach that final quarter of the regular season, you're pretty locked in with what your roster and your lineup's going to be. Again, barring any type of injury or if a player just completely falls off, but I think you're spot on in that coaches will try really anything, especially in a case where you're suffering a little bit offensively. See if you can get a spark and find some offense that you can rely upon.
Just about ready for things to get going in the second period of play. Remember, Nolan McElhaney, the senior out of Natick, the top line defenseman, taking the penalty in the waning seconds of the first period. So he'll sit out the first 2 minutes of this one, and the Beacons will start it on their second power play of the game. Beacons coming into today with a power play just a shade over 18%.
Seeing some of these alumni in the building, Drew Gannon, Garrett Gallagher, Dilly Baggins, we got Brian Carter, so hopefully these alumni can maybe shed some of their offensive talents onto this team and they can get a power play goal here.
We'll start it off with Krivtsov, Guggens, Matthews, Coleman, and Kincannon. And here they come through the neutral zone for the first time. Flying up the side is Jazz Krivtsov. It's loose on the left dot. And Kincannon will fire back to Coleman at the blue line. D to D they go. Guggens fires high. A lot of mustard on that one from Guggens, and the stumble from Krivtsov means they're going to have to burn some time going to chase it. And a platoon swap for the Huskies. Kicked over, Guggens flying up the right side, fires just wide.
Just missed.
The Beacons have come out aggressive. Guggens leading the way. Centering pass here, tic-tac-toe they go, and it hit the far crossbar. I don't know how that shot stayed out. Coleman to the left dot, shot loose, and just ejected through. Halfway through the power play, and the Beacons once again with some major opportunities.
And it looks like the goaltender's helmet, the buckle popped off. He had a little bit of trouble getting the referee's attention there. That's not a good feeling if you're a goaltender. They're supposed to blow the whistle if they see that. Ref didn't see it. And so Palmer was begging him, my helmet's off, and finally got a whistle there. So it'll be interesting where they place this, right? Because the Beacons were in their zone. So I would think, let's see, neutral zone. I can't imagine they're going to make them take a face-off in their defensive zone because of that. Yeah, just outside of their own zone. So that seems fair. But an interesting case. Settled now.
56 seconds left on the power play for UMass Boston as they win the draw. And now a little bit of forecheck pressure here, but ultimately backing off of the Huskies as Clifton threatens to go right up the middle and tosses it behind Ryan Rowland. Beacons looking to get something going and regain that fire. Manzo drags and stops back to the blue line. Friedman back to Rowland. Clifton feints, fires down low. Alex Duncan with a tip out. Counterclockwise go the Beacons, slap down to the goal line. 20 seconds to go on the power play. They fling it wide. Good lateral movement here, but no shots in a while. And that one's well high and wide off the stick of Friedman. 10 seconds to go on the man advantage. Back to Friedman, one-timer. And covered up at the crest of the crease by Palmer.
And he's really looked good
Oh,
with his
and-
rebound control. Yeah, some rough stuff here after the whistle. That's going to escalate. That's traditionally how these games go as things progress, especially the tighter it is. There's going to be certainly a physical element to this game, but really impressed with the way Palmer's played. You know, he's been under duress and hasn't really seen a lot of panic. He scrambles when he needs to, and I think his rebound control is really solid. That was a tricky little shot there. Got pretty good velocity on it. Not only he fumbled it a little bit, was able to get his glove right on top of it with Duncan right on the doorstep. And those are the types of things you need to be doing if you're a goaltender that's trying to win a game that you're kind of outmatched.
Power play expires. The Beacons keep it in their own zone as Banks hits the deck. But back to even strength now inside of 18 minutes to go in the second period. And the Huskies going to get their first real chance. Not so fast. The icing call is going to send it all the way back down to the other end. Palmer's saved 21 shots so far. Best has only needed to save 9. And Mason Palmer coming into this one with just an .878 save percentage and no wins under his belt this season. He's been kind of a backup plus maybe to the normal starter Kyle Penton. But getting a chance here, seeing a good volume of shots and sticking another one into the netting there as Ty Matthews hits the ground in front of him.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Earning his minutes, right? And this is when you hear any player in any sport really talk about, you know, being ready when they get their opportunity. A little bit different here, as you mentioned. It's not his first game by any means, but, you know, trying to earn those minutes and an opportunity here on the road against a Beacons team that's traditionally been pretty good against these Huskies, and he's really looked strong here tonight.
Sophomore getting a chance to show what he can do. And a couple of plays that just kept the puck out of the net, and we thought hitting the crossbar, kind of settling down in the crease, dangerous areas. But the gritty goal has eluded the Beacons, the one that Pete Bilal was talking about earlier in the week. Has not yet come to pass.
Yeah, that's the one that the Beacons, or maybe more than one the way this game's going, but those are the types of goals that the Beacons, they cannot rely. They don't have a Colin Larkin, a Travis Daniel, a Frankie DiAugustine to rely upon that can just get it done individually, right? It's got to be a team effort, and offensively they're doing everything that they can possibly do to generate those opportunities. They just need someone to convert now.
Coming through the neutral zone as Palmer flips it wide. He was way out of the crease. And the Beacons keeping it inside the blue line. Guggen's giving chase, and it trickles through Roland all the way down to the other end. Huskies still have not generated any chances on net in the second period. 2 minutes removed from the expiration of the penalty kill for them. And they're still looking as a missed breakout pass here still nevertheless comes all the way to Jiwa. And this could be the first offensive chance for the squad in the navy blue jerseys. The Beacons have generally held tough in front of Best, have not allowed him to see too many quality looks. As Clifton dispossessed on his way through the slot, and here come the Huskies on the counter.
Oh, that should be a penalty. I don't know what is that. Why would you do that?
That's a big kind of collar takedown from Manzo coming through the neutral zone. He will instantly go to the box. And first man advantage for the Huskies in the second period.
Sorry, Milton, but I have no explanation as to what he was trying to do there. I mean, that was just it looked like a NFL tackle.
Share the love with a hug.
Yeah, it looked like it. And he's going to sit for that. I don't know if that's frustration or what happened there, but just completely was right in front of us. Just took his free arm and wrapped around the Husky, took him to the ice. That's an easy call for a referee. Huskies with a great opportunity here, and boy, you got to feel pretty good. If you're the way this game is gone, if you're a Husky right now with a power play, still 0-0 on the road, this is a golden opportunity.
We have talked about how good their power play unit has been this season. Converting just north of 22% of the opportunities. That is good for second place in the conference, trailing only Skidmore.
Coleman's got to find a way to hit Bankauskas there. Bankauskas was gone if he connects on that pass.
Slingshot in, a beautiful timing to avoid the offsides call, but a nice recovery there for UMass Boston. Nick DeLucio at the blue line. Trickle pass makes its way through to Ritmo and flips it all the way around. Willette trying to work, and it's flipped all the way down to Palmer. Minute left on the power play, and UMass Boston with a chance to be caught here. In the middle of a change there, the Huskies did not pounce. McElhaney flips it all the way ahead, giving chase for it, but it's going to be an icing call, and nobody touched it on the way through. The intended target, it looked like, was Dylan Hullaby.
That'll drive a coaching staff nuts. You've got an extra player on the ice on a power play, and your breakout's so bad you're icing it. You take a look at the replay here, and this is the penalty. I just that's so obvious. I don't really know.
Yeah, the puck. He was behind the puck. This is not and skating laterally.
Frustration can take over.
Yeah.
Sometimes gets the better of you. I don't know. That would be the only thing I could think of there.
Nice passing in the middle of the ice. McElhaney tosses it all the way around, looking for Desmarais. Nick Pilara. And a beautiful feed there. But the Beacons active side to side here, and no leverage being generated from some nice Husky passing. Here's a chance. Banks just had it poked away on a would-be counter. Oh, and a big hit in the middle of the ice.
Wow. Both players got up.
Surprisingly.
He's hurt. He's going right to see the trainer.
It was Andy Walker
He
on
popped
the
right
Beacon
up.
side.
He popped right up.
I was surprised. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen either.
Both players I thought would be down. Labrizzi definitely hurt, being looked at by the training staff. Seems to be all right. He's still on the bench. And Walker, no issue whatsoever.
Toss in, Kincannon sticked away by Desmarais, and he is down. And so for that matter, is one of the Beacons players. That's Evan Guggens who gets to his feet. Desmarais is still down and just climbing to one knee now. Not entirely sure what happened to him. Labrizzi, as you mentioned, a top-line defenseman, went to the bench after a massive hit with Walker.
Yeah, Labrizzi I'm more concerned about, because the way he looked fine, and then as soon as he got to the bench, he didn't even think about it. He went right to see the trainer. That usually tells players know when they're hurt, and it tells me he needs to get some attention right away. He's still with the training staff, but I'll keep an eye on that.
The contact ratcheting up, as are the bodies hitting the ice. Will a goal follow? Breakout pass. Jiwa swerves around. He's had a couple of these, but this time he's shut off. Ryan Bogan with a nice recovery. That one's loose and it's in! The Huskies break down the barn door, and it's Matthew Saborin with his 4th of the year. And after all the chaos, that's the way it happens on a puck trickling across the crease.
Yeah, it's a broken play. Simple as that. The puck was, I don't know if it was going 20 miles an hour, just slowly moving towards the front of the net. From my vantage point, it looked like Clifton tried to make a play on the puck. He got a stick lifted. And the puck continued to move to the crease. Best was also moving that way. And when that simple stick lift happened, it opened up just a wide open net for a goal there. Huskies with a 1-0 lead, but a really strange play for the Beacons to get beat on. And all of a sudden, they're down.
Comes 27 minutes into the game as Bankauskas goes head first into the boards. And a beautiful sliding save by Palmer. You worry about Bankauskas now, who was blitzing Palmer behind the net and came up just a second late.
Well, and a tremendous tip on net there by Banks.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at the replay here on the goal and just watch as this puck comes through. You see right there, Clifton gets his stick. I think instead of a lift, he just gets it knocked away from the puck. And it's just a really smart play there by Saborin to just kind of create something out of nothing, give his team a 1-0 lead.
It just came trickling through.
But a great tip there as we get a whistle. That save by Palmer might be one of his best. He's had a lot. That might be one of his best. That's a quick redirect right on top of the crease. Banks made a nice redirect. He got that right in the glove. And for the Beacons here, the one thing you cannot do is panic. It's all right. You gave one up. You knew this team was probably going to get one eventually anyway. Got to find a way to continue to do what you've been doing. So far, I think a little bit of a drop-off from what we saw in the first period.
Goal comes from Matthew Saborin on the assists from Caden Eilot and Azam Jiwa. And the Beacons now with 12 minutes to go in the period. The shot fired by Walker, slingshot, Matthews, second chance. It's still in the Beacons' hands, and a beautiful sliding save well outside the crease from Palmer, who is really standing on his head.
His defense, too. A few of those were blocked. That's a big hit. Walker again. 2 massive hits. That could have been a trip. Yeah, and they're going to call it. This game's getting chippy.
It's getting extremely chippy after the goal, as the Beacons' frustration no doubt heightened after a goal that came off of a puck just sort of gently lazing its way across the ice and somehow found its way to the back post untouched.
I think you got to be happy if you're Coach Blyle and this coaching staff. With you just put your second line out there. You needed a response after that goal, and you just got it. Walker with a big hit. Duncan had a hit of his own, drew the penalty, and now you go on the power play. I think you've got to be really happy with that response from your team, and now can you just capitalize? That's the big thing with this hockey team right now. You take a look at the replay, you see the big hit, a couple block shots here, just not able. Matthews with a couple whacks at it, not able to bury it. And then if we have it, you'll see on the other side of the ice here, the penalty upcoming. Didn't quite have the full clip, but nevertheless, Beacons with a golden opportunity to tie up this hockey game here. The last power play they had about 4 or 5 shots blocked. They got to find a way to get shots through.
It's a tripping penalty on Tyler Gardner of the Huskies that will send the Beacons to the man advantage for the 3rd time this evening. 11.5 minutes to go in the second period, and a golden opportunity for the Beacons to earn that goal back. Guggens, Coleman, he hasn't been shy about shooting, but this time he goes off. Krivtsov fires high. Minute 30 on the power play. Guggens with a fancy stick handle fires in.
It's in.
And it's in! It's Dakota Kincannon on a loose rebound, and we are even just like that.
Well, a shot from the wall, Guggens just kind of walked into one, and you could tell by Palmer's reaction he didn't quite have it. He looked to his side, he was trying to squeeze his arm into his hip, and he could feel it. Any goaltender will tell you they can feel it when it's loose or wiggling loose, and Kincannon right on the doorstep was able to whack it home. I believe it should be Kincannon's goal. The only thing maybe crossed the line. It was tough to see who went through the line first there, if Guggens is going to get credit for it, if it crossed before Kincannon could get there. But either way, we got a 1-1 game.
If it is Kincannon's, it's his first of the year. Had 3 goals, 5 assists to his name last season. He's missed a little bit of time this year.
Yeah, they're giving it to Kincannon, but I would like to see if perhaps that crossed. I think based on the replay, we'll have to look. Kincannon's goal for now, a massive goal for this team. Answer right back. Big hit.
Oh, and grabbing the head as he comes off of it.
Well, it's Manzo again.
Caden
Did he get up too
Eilot.
high? That's the thing. Did he hit him too high? Let's take a look.
Looked like it was Kincannon's goal off the tip. But as far as the play here, it's going to be a penalty against Manzo, the second for him of the period.
Made a good hit, just came in high. It's going to be head contact. I think it's only 2. And yeah, it's just a minor. He's fortunate. He comes up any higher than that, and that could be a 5 and a 10. He came in certainly high. And someone's got to talk to him. He seems a little hot tonight for whatever reason. He's a great player, and they need him to calm down.
He's got 15 points in 16 games on the season, and has certainly been, you don't start top line center as a freshman for no reason. It's going to be Dakota Kincannon on the goal as it's announced over the PA, so his first goal of the year. And it comes on the power play, the Beacons' 3rd of the game, as they immediately go back to the kill. Mike Manzo in the penalty box for the 2nd time in the second period. This one a little bit more reasonable, as that one comes out top. Willett fires, and there was an opportunity there as Bestla was being harassed in the crease. Some more jawing. Marini's lost his lost his helmet.
It's getting nuts.
Yeah, it's starting to get all over the place.
Getting nuts in here. Yeah, there's hits everywhere. I mean, somebody lost his helmet. I'm curious where they're going to put this face-off because the Beacons had it on that was going to go all the way down on a PK icing here. So it should be in the Husky zone. Yeah, and it will be. That's the right call.
Minute 22 left on the Huskies power play in a game that's become increasingly wild.
I like credit. I believe I called that early on, as this was going to have a little bit of a physical element to it, and I think it's officially arrived.
The hits are plentiful, and the scoring has finally arrived. Back tap, Banks giving chase now as a beautiful feed up ahead. Goes in, turned away by Palmer.
Just lost the puck there. If he's able to pull that through, he's got the full net. You're exactly right. Palmer made a little bit of a poke check, committed to it. Banks tried to pull it through, wasn't able to do it.
50 seconds remaining on the power play in, back on the Huskies' side. Labrizzi tosses down, Hullaby giving chase. It's loose for the picking, it's Desmarais now, and they'll go back to the point. Beautiful save by Best there at the top of the crease, right to the shoulder. Now back to down low, Sabourin. They'll go D to D again. 23 seconds left. Sticked away by Best. It's still loose. Centering pass. Shot and a beautiful block. Coleman sliding across.
Saved the goal. Beacon's not out of the woods yet.
Power play set to expire in about 5 seconds.
Big save.
Best covers it up. Yes, indeed.
And Beacons are going to go on the power play. That extra whack by Hullaby, he's going to get called. So anytime there's a whistle, the referees are going to allow a little bit of stuff. But when you take that extra whack, there's always one extra, and the referees are looking for it. And Hullaby's calling it, and I know he's upset because both guys were giving it to each other. But he took that one extra well after the whistle. Referees don't want this game getting out of hand. I think that's a good call. So Beacons are going to have 2 seconds here before they're on the power play.
Hullaby goes to the sin bin. This is going to be the 4th power play of the Beacons for the Beacons tonight, 8th overall. And the chaos begetting more chaos and giving the Beacons an opportunity to drastically swing both the momentum and the score. As they win the draw, to the power play they go here, as Ty Matthews makes it a 5-on-4, and an easy missed back pass there, going to burn a few seconds.
Coleman actually had Matthews coming off the bench completely unattended. Huskies missed him. Didn't have him lined up coming off the bench. He was wide open. Never saw him.
Googans showing off the speed, trying to go coast to coast. And I think just caught a little piece of Mason Palmer coming through. Matthews, Googans at the point. To Coleman above the left dot, moving right. Handing off to Krivtsov, back to Coleman. Googans, lateral movement. A nice block in front. Ilott, back to Googans, fired. And it caught a little piece of Palmer once again. Minute 10 remaining on the power plays. It's tied up along the far side boards.
Huskies continuing to block shots, and Beacons haven't made enough of an adjustment. It's pretty simple what they're doing. They're just going to find the shooting lane and just kind of make themselves as big as possible, sit there and say, basically, hit me with it. And the Beacons got to find a way to get a little bit more creative with what they're doing on the power play. They're just keeping it around the umbrella. Too many of these are getting blocked. They're not getting enough through.
It's a 13-7 block margin.
Terrible change.
And a shorthanded opportunity for Judd, and he's blocked in front by Coleman. Little hesitation there allowed Coleman back into the picture. 30 seconds to go, and the Beacons trying to recover from, like you said, a change that sapped some of the energy out of the power play.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of tough timing, but you got to be aware there if you're going to make a change. And almost 2-on-0. Fortunately, I had someone back.
Loose pass, Clifton trying to keep it in, and does. Tossed out. Beacons with 5 seconds to work with here, and it's intercepted. Zach Desmarais.
He's got help.
Looking for the centering pass, and Roland knew it. And the Beacons with a chance here, back to even strength. 6.5 minutes to go in the second period. Here comes Manzo. Oh. Pad save by Palmer.
tough kid. He went into the wall hard.
Palmer holds the line. Manzo with a big hit into the boards. The action ever wilder from the Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. Watching the Beacons Broadcast Network, we thank you for tuning in. There's another big hit. The two number 18s coming together. That's Hullaby and Grady Friedman.
Looks like an offside call here. 6:05 left in the second. It's pretty good action. I think things have blossomed here. We saw a little bit more of a systematic approach in the first. I think second, the physicality's taken over. We've seen some scoring, a couple penalties, both sides. It's good action here.
Beacons go all the way around. Banks missed the reception there. Bankauskas tried to pick it up, but the Huskies now with an opportunity. Bogan gloves it down, and the Beacons retake. UMass Boston still with almost a double up in the shots category here, 26-14, but the score is even. And a beautiful glove there by Palmer on a shot that looked like Bankauskas deflected.
Yeah, it might have. It sounded almost as if he did, but the way Palmer reacted, it might have gone right into the glove. Hard to tell, but good. And I like that. I always like that play, right? If you don't have anything really going, it's the end of the shift there. You can see all five change thereafter. You know, Bogan just takes a hard shot, puts it in a spot where he knows there's a forward coming through. It's in a good spot to be redirected. You find a lot of times those go in. That wasn't the case that time, but I always like those plays, especially, like I said, at the end of the shift. Just trying to create a little something, not really trying to get too creative with it. And a lot of times those can be the difference in a game.
He figured it was worth a shot, and it was. But ultimately no fruit born from it. 5.5 minutes to go, and the Huskies all of a sudden pushing right down the Beacons' throat once more. Skittering through, pad save, still in the slot. And a chance there on the back end for Christopher Morrison, but couldn't quite get a stick to it in time.
I think that was redirected.
And here comes Kincannon.
Another offside.
And they're indeed going to whistle offside. It looked like Jazz Krivtsov on the right wing coming in a bit too early.
And one thing I want to mention, you know, tough on Best mentally, right? You gave up one. You've made some big saves. Only 15 shots on goal. Not the busiest night you've had. And I know he's a goaltender that likes to get into the flow of the game, kind of get a feel for it. And that's been a little bit sporadic, and it's tough mentally as a goaltender when it comes in waves like that and they're spaced out to make sure you're as sharp as you need to be when duty calls.
He had a 32-save shutout against these Huskies up in Maine earlier in the season. Beacons won that game 3-0. It was arguably one of their best performances of the year to that point. And looking for another one here. Once again, the Beacons in 6th place looking to break out of a crowded midfield in the NEHC. The Huskies in 9th place out of 10 teams looking to pop into the top 8 and get themselves a playoff bid into a single elimination tournament where they have to be figuring anything can happen. Walker tries to traverse about 4 defenders at once and comes up just a bit short as the Huskies reverse the tempo. Huskies go for a change here as the Beacons regroup behind the net. Manzo skating through a couple of defenders here, flying up the right side, trying to take it himself, and ultimately poke-checked away by Cole Willett. Beacons keep it in, however. Bogan. Friedman back to Bogan. Slap shot deflected on its way through. Swerving around in the net front, loose in the slot, and it's in! Corey Clifton puts the Beacons in front. It's his 5th of the year, and the chaos leads to UMass Boston.
And that's the type of release you like to see from your top line left wing. Just planted right in the slot, and as soon as he gets it, lets it go, posting in. Didn't think about it, didn't double clutch, and realistically no chance for a goaltender to try and line up there and get on top of that. And that was just off the blade too quickly. He almost had it. I mean, I'll tell you what, that was the other thing. Palmer almost had it. If that's not posted in, I don't know if he gets the goal, but Corey Clifton giving his team a 2-1 lead there. What a shot.
5th of the year for the New Jersey native.
And I just love how he just let it go, right? You don't need it. Sometimes these players want to take a look at their options, high, low, left, right. Clifton, as soon as he got it, just release it. And you don't give the goaltender enough time to come out. You can see it there. It wasn't enough time to take the angle down. And when you can shoot like he can shoot, posting in, that's just a great shot and a great effort to give his team a lead.
Huskies trying for the breakout here. A little shoulder check from Benkauskas, wins the puck back. And they'll take it on the blue line here. A whistle.
Golden opportunity here. You got 3:14 on the clock. You've got momentum now with the lead. If you can extend this to a 2-goal, take a look at the replay here and just a quick release, right? Yes, as soon as he gets it, he fires it. Palmer was out pretty far. You know, he's on the top of his crease there into the white paint. And take another look at it here. And Clifton just catch and release, right? As soon as he catches it, he lets it go. But I was saying that about a 3-minute window here for these Beacons to possibly extend this to a 2-goal lead makes a huge difference going into this third period.
Tossing it down, winds up in the front of the net, and Coleman takes out the garbage. Inside of 3 minutes, the Beacons clinging to a 2-1 lead. The shot advantage finally reflecting on the scoreboard as DeLucio comes careening in. Centering pass, but it didn't quite make it to the crease. Loose, who's got it? Beacons trying to keep it in. The bench screaming for a call as Coleman plastered up against the boards.
Thought it could have been.
No whistle blows. Hit in the middle of the ice, Kincannon still flips it back to Coleman. He's trying to go around. The speed of the UMass Boston Blue Liners has been on full display no matter what else has been going on. And Coleman, no better example of that. Centering pass broken up, still loose. Guggens with a little back tap, it can't quite make it through. Tyler Mitchell will recover. And McElhaney shovels to Labrizzi. Pass up the middle. And the Beacons take it with Pat Keegan. Inside of 2 minutes now. Beacons taking the lead. Getting the equalizer on the rebound off the power play from Kincannon. And then a second goal just moments ago. A slingshot from the slot off the stick of Corey Clifton. We'll keep it in here. Nice block in front there. That's Rafael Legenis. Beacon still looking for that pass coming from behind the net, and Palmer, a little bit sick of the charade, covers it up.
Good shift there by the Beacons. All in the offensive zone there. Got to be happy with this the score right now. Minute 26. And again, if you can somehow get it to a 3-1 lead, I really like their chances at home with 20 to play. This game is wide open. There's still plenty of opportunities here. I'm sure the Huskies will make a push at some point. But with 126 in this in-zone draw here, so these are the types of moments that win you hockey games.
And the Beacons win the draw. A quick giveaway here, but a nice recovery from Manzo to tie up the puck. And the Beacons retake in the neutral zone. And a very scrappy second period this has been, with 3 goals put together and enough power plays to tuck your teeth into.
That's a tough icing now. So now you give the Huskies a chance, right? The final 5 of a period is always interesting to me because now here, a minute to play, and you give an instant in-zone draw for this Huskies team that really hasn't generated a lot of offense in the second period whatsoever. But now they win a draw. You can run a play here. It's just there's a little bit of a chess match going on.
A minute for the Huskies to work with to find the equalizer heading into the locker room. Now swerving in, taken away from behind. A beautiful defensive play by Clifton.
Sure was.
And they're going to make the Huskies work for it. Tapped in, Best sticks it away, Coleman. And now here comes the Husky forecheck. And paying dividends, at least for the moment. 30 seconds to go. Just 6 shots on goal so far this period for the Huskies, 9 for the Beacons. One little drag try by Manzo there, couldn't quite keep it on his stick. On a takedown in the middle of the ice, here come the Huskies. And a nice block by Coleman, standing his ground.
That stung him.
And the Beacons will put a capper on the second period. They let up the first goal. came off the stick of the top line center, Matthew Saborin. But goals from Kincannon and Clifton even it up and give the Beacons the lead respectively. And UMass Boston's going to go to the locker room with a 1-goal lead after a second period that looked like it was going to defy consistent description for a while.
It did, and two subtle plays there I want to make note of there at the end of the period. There was almost a 2-on-0 on top of Best there. Clifton made a subtle defensive play with the stick. You mentioned it on there just to eliminate that play entirely, and then the shot block. A 1-on-1 there at the end. Coleman's able to block that shot, doesn't allow the puck in on his goaltender. Those are the little plays there that I like to see for a team that's got the lead now going into the third period at home. You mentioned it. I think the Huskies weren't able to find a lot of offense here. They've got to find another gear if they're going to find a way to tie this thing up. The one thing that will allow them back into this game is that the Beacons continue to take penalties. And it got chippy there for maybe about 10 minutes in that period, and Manzo made a couple bad penalties. There were a few others that made note of. I think that's the one thing the Beacons got to be cognizant of going into the third period is not allowing this Husky team to take those power plays and climb their way back into this game off of that. I think if you're the Beacons, you've done 40 minutes, great hockey, continue to forecheck. I saw it again in that second period. I think that's been the best thing they've had going all night.
It's a 2-1 game as we go to the second intermission. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with some analysis and the final period of play. Beacons looking for a yellow sunrise of an ending here from the Harbor. Stick around.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
The University of Massachusetts Boston. It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
I believe sportsmanship is it's a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown, and it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey, and that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. It's one of those moments you never forget.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins, not the shiny nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
A wild and entertaining second period. You can see the scoring there. Matthew Saborin at first for the Huskies, and then Dakota Kincannon on the power play for the Beacons, followed by Corey Clifton. The assists in this one, both of the Beacons' goals unassisted. For the Huskies, assists coming from Jiwa and from Ilott. And Matt, it's a lot of chippiness, a lot of scrappiness, a lot of chaos. How was it the Beacons were able to come out on the high side of that second period?
Well, I think a lot of what they did in the first period didn't end up in the back of the net, but it was all the right things. And they were able to carry that over into the second period. And then the difference between the first and second was just being able to capitalize, right? The first goal was just simply a shot from Googans coming off the side there. Kincannon's right in front of the net where he's supposed to be. He's able to bang it home, right? What you would refer to as a greasy goal. Probably not going to be on his highlight reel, but it counts all the same. Clifton, a little bit of a different scenario in that he was kind of planted in the slot, got a little bit lost in the offensive zone, and was able to just catch and release right away, beats the goaltender on the glove side, posted in. So two different plays, but I think they earned the right to those goals with what they've been doing off the forecheck. And I think especially in the first period, also in that second period, they've really put a lot of pressure on this Huskies team. They've had trouble breaking out. They've hit as needed, right? We saw a couple times where they crossed the line a little bit there in the second period, but for the most part, these hits have been clean. And I think everything has really built, the 2-1 lead has really been built off that forecheck. You take a look at the statistics here. Shots on goal, surprised the Huskies have 24. I think that should be probably 14. I don't know if they have 24, as that seems to be high for the amount of offense they've produced in this game. But
you'd be correct. It is 32-14.
Yeah, overall, I think we've just seen a Beacons team that's a little bit a level higher than this Huskies team. And so long as they stay disciplined and don't allow this Huskies team back on the power play, let's not forget, second in the conference at 22%, right? So we don't want to give them too many opportunities here. You stay disciplined, you continue to forecheck like you have for 40 minutes. I think you're walking out of here with a W.
We're seeing them winning a slight majority of the draws here, which is a little bit unexpected. The Beacons winning 54% of their faceoffs this season. The Huskies just 43%. They've won that battle. It hasn't done too much for them, as the Beacons, I think, have pretty undeniably had the better forecheck.
Yep.
The Beacons have,
neutral zone.
I think the neutral zone, they've won the neutral zone too. They've generally had higher energy, although the Huskies, to their credit, have had some good periods of sustained momentum. They've generally built off their power plays. I think the Beacons have just done it better.
Yeah, overall, and let's not forget, Best has come away with some really key saves. Not so much in that second period. It was a little quiet, but and recovered nicely. And that was the other thing in the second period I wanted to mention. They give up a goal, right? Let's not forget, the Huskies had a lead at one point in this game, and the response by that second line to come out, few big hits, spent the time in the offensive zone, they get a power play, and they score right after that. That's one of those things that maybe doesn't show up on the stat sheet. We wouldn't see it here on the statistics, but that key shift, that response by that second line by the Beacons was just a huge rebound for this team to claw right back in at 1-1, and then find a second one there in that period. So teams getting ready to take the ice here. Should be an eventful third.
We're seeing Mason Palmer make a case for more minutes. This is his 7th game of the season, his 7th appearance. Came into this with an .878 save percentage. His goals against was hovering just a couple ticks south of 5. He was not having statistically the sort of year that you'd write home about, but this game absolutely is. 32 shots faced, saved 30 of them. And, I mean, you can maybe lay some criticism after that first goal. It was a rebound that he didn't control and a shot from deep. The second goal, like you mentioned when it happened, Corey Clifton puts that one postage stamp, and if he doesn't, Palmer's got it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think he's looked good, and I think he's probably a main reason this isn't a bigger lead for the Beacons. I mean, they've also blocked a lot of shots, which has helped, but let's not forget, Palmer's had to come away with some big saves, and for a while here, this was a 0-0 game, all thanks to Palmer. So I think defensively they've been good, but Palmer's really has been the difference in this game, despite the fact he's down by 1.
2-1 Beacons over Huskies. 20 minutes left to settle it, and the Huskies bench looking to inspire their skaters. Beacons win the opening draw, and down they come into the offensive zone. Oh, and it's in! Oh my goodness, it happens that quickly! It's Jacob Banks, the effort finally rewarded as he gets his 3rd of the year. And 9 seconds after the opening draw, the Beacons double the lead.
Right off the draw. And I'm wondering if that's a set play. The way these kids are celebrating, I'm wondering if they talked about this in between periods. And you can see by just the reactions on the bench and by the guys on the ice, a few extra handshakes, I'm almost wondering if that's a set play. Great effort by Banks. He's had a great game. We've mentioned his name here a lot here tonight. And we're going to have to take a look at this replay. I wonder if the Beacons had drawn something up in between periods and just executed on it.
It's about as quick a goal as you're going to see for the junior Jacob Banks, who, as we've been talking about all game, as that one's loose in front, it's still oh my goodness, what a save! Palmer's missing his stick, and he's going to go. He doesn't quite have time to fetch it. The Beacons are keeping it close enough that he's not sure if he's got time, but he saved that one while flat on his stomach, it looked like.
Keegan just knocked Hullaby down. We've got so much going on here. Palmer made that save facing his own net. He was reversed and threw his arm out and made the save.
We are not even a minute into the period, and we've already seen a goal off what we can only guess was a set play. One of the most ludicrous saves you're likely to see. A goalie standing in net because he wasn't sure if he had the bandwidth or the leeway to chase down his stick. And now a pass in front off the crossbar. My goodness.
I think he got his stick. Let's see where the faceoff is. That'll tell us.
We just stop the action here and just watch the last minute 15 back, please.
We need a timeout.
This is bananas stuff to open the third period. You thought the second period was chaotic.
My goodness.
Look
People
at
are going
this.
to wonder, they're going to come back and wonder, cracking a new beer. All of a sudden it's 3-1. Tremendous action. But yeah, I mean, that save by Palmer, he's facing his own net, and he just kind of threw his arm out and made a save. That's one you don't often see.
Ty Matthews on the chance here. 2 defenders to beat. Shovels it just high and goes to chase down the miss. The Banks goal, the 3rd of the evening for the Beacons, and their 3rd unassisted. They're leading 3-1, but the assist category is 2-0 in favor of the Huskies for whatever that's worth. Not too much, I suppose. More a curiosity than anything else as the Huskies trying to eject here as the Beacons aggressive on the forecheck once more. Back out Concannon, fires in, and Palmer's got a hold of this one.
Good save here, settle things down, right? If you're the Huskies, you come out of the locker room, everything you talked about, I'm sure phrases like keeping it close, continue to work hard, and a set play. Beacons execute on it. I think a set play, still unconfirmed, but Beacons execute on it 9 seconds into the period. We might have to check and see if that's the fastest goal to start a period. 9 seconds is about as quick as you can do it.
It may be much faster than that. The only way you do it is Palmer clutches another one. But the only way to do it much faster than that is if your opponent's colluding with you.
Yeah, I think the record, NHL record, is 4 or 5 seconds, but that was in the 80s. It's a different game then.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, so I mean, what a start to the period. We had a hit. We had Huskies almost scored. They off his best, I think, off his stick and then off the crossbar, like he said. Need things to settle down here.
Will they settle down is the question. There's a poke check away. And flinging it all the way through is Christopher Morrison, but his teammate not quite in the right spot to receive. Coleman tips it along the boards. Guggens plastered there by Morrison. Somehow keeps control of the puck, and then it flits back out to Labrizzi. Behind the net now, Concannon, it squibs loose, and Best, wanting a respite, is going to cover it up.
And I think smart by both goaltenders, really. Settle things down. In most cases, goaltenders do not like playing up and down the ice. And the way that period started, it seemed like that's where we were headed. So settle things down, especially if you're the Beacons, right? Now you've got a 2-goal lead, and you can't ask for much more than this. Now it becomes a little bit of not so much clock management, but just not giving up too many opportunities here, right? Keep everything in front of you.
Well, the Huskies won the draw, but the Beacons coming back the other way. It's Carabelli to the front of the net. Blocked by Palmer and sticked away there by Eilot. Huskies tightening the screws defensively. Can they generate some sustained offensive zone time that we really haven't seen from them since the first period? The second goal came on a puck that just didn't quit sliding. It was a rather unexpected goal in a couple of ways, but against the run of play in particular. Another question, can the Beacons stay disciplined and not put themselves on the penalty kill?
Well, anytime in the offensive zone is a good thing now, regardless of what you do with it. Shots on goal, obviously great, but the more time you spend in your offensive zone is a win. That's going to touch the ceiling there. We should get, I think this will be in the neutral zone, but you're basically not only winding down the clock, but even after you lose possession eventually, the Huskies are more than likely going to have to change, right? So you're just limiting what they can do offensively. And that's something that the coaching staff should be talking about on the bench is let's continue. The one thing you don't want to do is go into a defensive shell and just try to hold the lead. There's far too much left in this game. Continue to do the things that have made you successful, the forecheck, run your offense as you normally would, and force this Husky team to try and get creative.
The Beacons win the draw. That one comes sliding all the way through and washed away into the corner by Palmer. Here comes Krapinski. He's got a shot at it, and it sails wide right.
Puck was rolling on him.
Off the skate here, and it's going to stunt the breakout. He's looking for some kind of option. Here's Cole Brennan behind the net.
He seems a little lost here, unless they're trying something new on this breakout.
Not entirely sure what the game plan was there. It goes careening off of Desmarais' stick. And the Beacons will go for a change here as that one skips all the way through. Alex Duncan scrapping for it with a couple of Huskies, and they get the better of him. Beacons now in the neutral zone. DeLucio dumps all the way down, giving chases Concannon, but stopped behind the net by Palmer. 15 minutes and change to go. Kept in by Guggens and poked away from behind. chance didn't quite materialize for Evan Guggens, who has not been on the board himself, but has taken 15 shots, by far the most of anyone in the game.
It's an insane number.
Yeah. Next closest, he's got a couple of teammates with 6. But Evan Guggens is out shooting the Southern Maine Huskies to this point, and still does not have one of the Beacon's 3 tallies. Make of that whatever you will. But he has certainly been active as there's a turnover. Best sticks it away, it's still loose. And a follow shot by Morrison. Best turns away as well. Woolett deflected on its way through. Huskies looking aggressive. Back to Woolett at the blue line. Eilot sails all the way through. Giving chase now is Ritmo as he's decked from behind. Still loose along the left dot. 14 minutes and change to go. And now UMass Boston tries to take it. Banks to the other end. Could it be an opportunity for Banks? To the front of the net. Pad save Palmer. Jacob Banks once again making himself a must-watch player in this game. The goal he scored seemed like it was only a matter of time, given where his energy level's been.
Should be an icing.
And indeed it is. Back down the other way we go, and an opportunity for more offensive zone time for UMass Boston.
Well, and that's exactly what we talked about, right? Is that if Beacon spent so much time forechecking and running their offense on that play, the Huskies finally get possession. They miss on a breakout pass, and now they get pinned on an icing. So you got fresh legs for the Beacons here. They should be able to just run this again. Man, tough play there off the draw. Just kind of flip one on net. Now the Huskies can change.
(3-1) in favor of the Beacons here, and Southern Maine starting to feel the clock pressure more and more, with just 15 shots on net to this point. Something needs to change for him. And a contact deemed incidental in the neutral zone by the trail referee there. Shot in, Manzo takes it off the glove, recovers it, and now flying through the neutral zone. The speed of the freshman once again. Friedman in the middle, and a slingshot doesn't make its way through. Another glove save from Palmer. That's his 39th. To go against the 3 goals allowed. Go ahead.
Sorry, Millen. You got to like what you see here. These 2 freshmen in Friedman and Manzo. We've been mentioning them a lot here tonight. Clifton has the goal. Yeah, I think you're going to see this line for the rest of the season. Even after a loss, you just got to like the energy that they bring. They're starting to find each other. You can see even that subtle play there. Manzo enters the zone with speed and just kind of knows Friedman's going to back off. He drops in the puck. They get a scoring opportunity off that. Friedman got a backhand shot, but a shot from the slot nevertheless.
And the Beacons will keep it in off the draw, but the Huskies repossess. Come off the ice here, Connor Donovan. And he has it taken away. Loose in the middle of the ice now. Donovan takes it right back. Beacons having a little trouble ejecting the puck here. And Southern Maine looking for some sustained zone time. Sam Best has only had to make 15 saves to this point. He made 32 against the Huskies the last time they saw him, and Manzo pulled the stick back as that one went sailing into the Husky bench.
Somebody's down here. Coleman's down. You can see trainer Ed Perkins on the ice. He's fine. Coleman's getting off, but he seems to be in some serious discomfort. Didn't quite see the play. It seemed like it was behind a little bit, but always a little bit cause for concern. Oh, boy. You can see him tripping, getting off the ice there. Hope he's all right.
Looks like he's in a good deal of pain and a good amount of frustration as well.
Yeah, keep an eye on that for sure.
He's had a very active game to this point. That top line defenseman, the transfer coming in from Stevenson, was all conference in the MAC 2 years in a row. First team, then second team. There's another Massachusetts kid who wanted to come home, and home he is. He's got 8 points off the blue line for the Beacons in 16 games so far this season. And now here's Ty Matthews. He's got friends to run with. Fires, pad save. Palmer once again. And now on the counter, here come his teammates. Tap back Gardner, nice play to break it up there from Walker. Goal from the blue line! And a missile from distance. It's Caden Eilot with his second of the year. And the lead is down to 1.
I don't think Best saw it. That's just a wrist shot from the blue line. And the way he's played here tonight, I'd be shocked if that beat him clean. I think that's got to be some sort of screen there.
I think you're right. Sam Best's reaction time, for those who know it, is not going to be that slow.
Yeah. Don't really know, other than it had to have been a screen. I didn't see any type of redirect. I mean, it's a wrist shot from the blue line. He's going to come up with those more often times than not unless he can't see it. So my guess is that was a screen that just happened to beat him. But we got a hockey game all of a sudden, 3-2.
Yeah, it didn't look like he moved on it until it was just about by him. And he gloves that one. That's what Sam Best looks like when he gets a read on it.
When he can see it. Yeah, you're exactly right. So now, all of a sudden, we got to respond again, right? We saw it. Here's the replay. Just take a look. You're going to walk across the blue line here. I think it's Eilot, and he's just going to wrist one towards the net. Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, it's hard from our perspective versus what Best saw, but a tough one to give up here. My only estimation would be that he didn't see that one all the way in.
He looked like he surmised from the lead up to the shot that it was going to that side of the net, but that seemed to be all the information he was operating on until the puck was about at his shoulder.
Can only speculate.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out after the game, but we've got a game now all of a sudden 3-2, and I was about to say the response, right? The Huskies, when they took the 1-0 lead, Beacons countered with a really great response. Try to see if they can do the same thing here. Still 11 minutes, you're still in good shape. Just got to find a way to get back to what you've been doing all period, which is continue to grind this Husky team down the offensive zone.
It's a wrister from the point for Caden Eilot. The second goal of the game for the Huskies. And making this game a lot more interesting. Scrapping on the far side boards, and now a chance here. Marini, but Rowland beats him back to it. And the Beacon's going to take this opportunity for a full change. We have not seen, just about the only thing we haven't seen that stands out from the second period, no penalties so far in the third. The slingshot rebound control, not what Palmer wanted it to be. I think that play might have been whistled dead a little prematurely, but he ultimately did cover it up.
And you need more of that, right? I'm taking a look at the Beacon bench here. Seem to be all right. I'm not seeing any type of panic, which is good, but I think a little bit on edge, right? That one kind of shocked the system a little bit. And Coach Blyle putting his top line. They've looked good all night. An important draw here. Want to get some offense going if you're the Beacons.
Breakout chance for the Huskies. Manzo mucking up the works. Morrison comes to take it back. Nice little nifty little behind the back pass there. And Corey Clifton, despite his best efforts, can't come up with a puck. Pat Keegan can. And flips it down, and back and forth they go in the neutral zone. Game being played between 75 feet here, off the tip of Best's glove, wide of the net. Inside of the 10-minute mark now, and UMass Boston with a chance to run. Grady Friedman, nice little wraparound. Keegan, it's deflected into the netting.
Sneaky shot.
Mason, go ahead.
Not often you see a defenseman go short side there on a mini rush and try to catch Palmer, maybe off his angle a little bit. Got off the pad and up into the netting.
The Palmer's reads have looked very good in this third period.
I would agree. He's been under control, and when he's under duress, he's scrambling, but in a way where he knows, or at least has an idea of what he's trying to do. And you got to like, anytime your goaltender has faced 41 shots and only given up 3, I think as a coach, you've got to like that or be at least satisfied.
Well, Ed Harding said this week that the goal for him, as it is for just about any hockey coach, and this was the line he drew, is you want a 9-10 save percentage or above. That's the line he's looking for. Mason Palmer came into this game about 30 points south of that. This game is certainly going to help his case for more playing time as the season goes on, and these Huskies make that push toward the playoff picture. Remember, 10 teams in the New England Hockey Conference, single elimination tournament, 8 of them make it into the 1-plays-8 sort of format that you would think. So UMass Boston in 6th, looking to nab a top 4 spot. They'd like to host a playoff game. Southern Maine at this point is trying to hop from 9th up into the playoff picture. It's worth mentioning they've got as many points as 8th place Castleton. Castleton's got 3 games in hand on them, though. So Huskies certainly looking for a win here, at the very least trying to get a point out of the deal.
Well, and the runway starts to get thin.
Yeah, starts to shrink.
Yeah, you just don't have enough games to make up ground, especially when there's games at hand.
UMass Boston's going to keep it in their offensive zone. Back tap, Googans into the slot, but nobody there to retrieve it. Little shovel pass ahead. Curtis Judd flips it through the neutral zone, and Pat Keegan's going to have to chase this one down. Off the stick of Googans and back into the clutches of the Southern Maine Huskies. Krapinski now through the neutral zone. Back and forth they go, pinballing, and now here's an opportunity. Desmarais, centering pass, it's broken up just enough, and the net goes off its moorings with a Beacon clinging to it for dear life. Look at who that is in the net. It looks like Dakota Kincannon. And slow to get to his feet, but looks okay.
Yeah, you never want to see that.
Maybe not.
Going full speed into a net, and those pegs will give, but it takes a lot to get him off. Good on him getting off the ice on his own, but he's going to have to get checked out now. And to give you an update, Blake Coleman has his shoulder pads off, which tells me probably not going to see him for the rest of this game. Once that jersey comes off, especially in the third, that's likely it. So Coleman already, I would say, questionable to doubtful to return, and now you got Kincannon being checked out by the training staff. So the Beacons are going to have to adjust their lines accordingly here in the final 8:30 left in this game.
It's your top line left D and your third line right winger. Both off the ice right now, Kincannon being attended to.
And again, you're okay if you're the Beacons. I think the Huskies have not shown that they could break out consistently in this game whatsoever. So continue to attack them, continue to force them to connect on 2, 3, 4 passes in order to create some offense. And then defensively, make sure those D, no one's getting behind you. You keep everything in front of you, especially coming through the neutral zone. No one beats you with speed, and allow that back pressure to come back and support.
5 goals between these two squads, 4 of them coming unassisted, and a couple of them odd for one reason or another. But then again, the balance of this game has been rather odd from the second period onward. For chippy reasons, for crazy reasons. And now here we are, 3-2. Beacons clinging to the lead, 8 minutes to go. And feeling the pressure despite a massive shot advantage, 41-18 to this point. And the neutral zone back and forth continues here. It ultimately goes to the Huskies as the pass out of reach. For Desmarais waiting at the blue line, and the Beacons now trying to catch Southern Maine on the back half of a change. Once again, it's Jacob Banks with a speed, taking them all on at once. Manzo behind the net, moving to the net front, swerving around, and there was a sliver of daylight there. Manzo going off for the change. Stick is still hanging out in the middle of the play.
I wonder if that was the difference. He made a great individual effort getting to the front of the net, and he had daylight. He had Palmer beat. I wonder if the stick, and we're going to get a whistle here, I wonder if the broken stick was the difference. Can only speculate. That's just unfortunate, though. He could have sealed this deal for the Beacons if he tucks that home. You could feel the tension in the rink right now. It's gotten a little bit silent. Everyone's a little bit on edge, knowing that this next goal is everything.
And the understanding, I think, for both these teams that the play is so back and forth right now, and so nobody's really getting too much sustained zone time that a goal for either squad seems imminent.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a lot of rushes, not a lot of possession.
Beacon still maintaining the advantage in the shot tally. In fact, they have the shot advantage in every period to this point. At the blue line, here comes Friedman. Huskies just barely keeping it in, and the Beacons looking to keep Sam Best out of trouble. Into the netting it goes.
Should be in the neutral zone, I would think.
And indeed it will be.
Center ice, yeah.
It was off the stick of Nick Labrizzi, a sophomore out of Raleigh, a couple points this season for his Huskies. as both teams will swap some reinforcements here.
That's where your conditioning comes into play, particularly for the Beacons. You're down 2 forwards. You got to find a way to dig deep here. You're going to probably go shift after for the remainder of this game. I'm sorry, 1 forward, 1 defenseman. So that makes it a little bit better because you can cover that a little bit easier with your lines.
See if the extra skater, Owen Bordeaux, gets a little bit of run here. Andy Walker has it poke checked away and then has himself shoulder checked down. 6 minutes and change remaining here, and the Beacons trying to hold off Southern Maine and earn themselves a much-needed conference win. Coming into this game off of a split weekend here, a win against New England College after an overtime loss to number 5 ranked Norwich that at this point Pete Belisle was largely happy with against a team that good and after an effort that strong.
Hit the crossbar in the third, could have won.
Yeah. A 1-0 game, and then followed by a 3-1 win over New England College. Beacons trying to flip it into the middle. Strong defense here by the Huskies to keep it out of the danger pocket. Once again, almost 15 minutes into the third period, we still have not seen a penalty after a game, after a first couple of periods that certainly had no shortage of them. Teams have figured out how to play under control.
You got to like that shift if you're the Beacons there. A lot of offensive possession time. You're just chewing up clock now. And now with the final 5, you can play the clock. You've still got the lead. Now is when you can start to get pucks deep, hit the red line. You want to ease off that forecheck too much, but you basically want to put the Huskies in a position where every time they touch the puck, they've got to go 200 feet.
Roland surveying, flips it down, skitters along the boards and pops behind the net. Kalei Bankauskas once again making an odd time rush behind the goalie. He's been taking the gambles behind the goal line and figuring one of them is going to pay off. Comes out in front. Nice play there by Gino Carabelli to keep it away from Best. Beacons have protected the crease. They protected the slot here in the third period. Have not been a ton of shots in close. And there's a shot. Palmer calmly gloves it down.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there, if you ask me. Palmer didn't have any pressure there, and he got flashy with the glove save. If he drops that quickly and plays it, he can catch the Beacons. Beacons were a little bit caught there. He could have caught them maybe on a rush. Definitely an easy out for his team, but the flash of the glove, he recognized it too late. Referees called the whistle, so now he's got an in-zone draw.
And the Huskies take it. Flipping it down is Austin Marini. And they'll scrap forward in the corner. Beacons content to tie up the puck for as long as they can. And ultimately it squibs out. Cole Woolett. Centering feed there, and indeed a good stick. That was Bogan coming across the crease.
That's trouble if that gets through. Good read by number 2.
Well, Friedman with a nice move there, but coming and pick it up is Saborin. And the Huskies starting to feel the time pressure more and more, and the pertinent question becomes how long are they going to leave Palmer in net? On a beautiful coast-to-coast move, and just tripped up toward the end was Eilot.
Far too passive for the Beacons. You cannot allow one guy to go coast-to-coast like that.
Huskies keep it in, finally getting some sustained zone time for themselves in the highest leverage spot so
Oh,
far.
boy.
And
Yep.
a big, big call there as Pat Keegan's going to be whistled for tripping.
Got beat. His stick was out on the stick check, and just too quick. A nice little play there by the Huskies off the wall. Didn't catch the number, but Keegan's going to go on the trip. And so here you go. And now I wonder, one of these coaches take a timeout here? I would think the Huskies would be the team, but I wouldn't mind if the Beacons took it either, just to make sure everyone's set and knows their assignment. This coaching, looking at the coaching staff, neither one wants to do it, so they're going to run with what they've got.
3 minutes, 7 seconds to go.
Here's your hockey game.
2 minutes worth of power play as Pat Keegan goes to the sin bin and the Beacons toss it all the way down. And now do you pull the goalie at some point and get yourself a 6-on-4, or are you content with a one-man advantage?
Halfway. If I still haven't scored halfway, I have no choice. Got to take them.
Back into the offensive zone come the Huskies. Labrizzi. Swing wide, Desmarais. Back to Labrizzi at the point. Swapping positions, moving to the dot. One-timer, couldn't quite get the fat part of the stick on it.
That net's off. Nobody's noticed.
Labrizzi, it's blocked in front. Beautiful play by Carabelli. And now here comes Bankauskas. Make a bonsai pass at the net, and it's taken away beautifully from behind by Labrizzi. 2 minutes 20 to go in the game. Minute 10 on the power play. The door is open for Palmer. He stays in net.
Well, they need possession. I think that's as soon as they get it. If they get it here, you got to take them.
Oh, and a centering feed. It's in the slot, and the Beacons with just enough pressure. Now here comes Banks and pulls back, dumps down, and gives the Beacons an opportunity for a change. He's the only one that'll go. Minute 50 in the game, 42 seconds on the power play. Palmer has stayed in, and here he comes. As they finally gain the zone. Oh, and the extra skater popping out here to make it 6-on-4 was the one who saved a possible trickle-down goal at the other end. Beacons flipping it all the way down. It's 6-on-4 here with an empty net. Game on the line for Southern Maine. Beacons trying to hold him off.
Make sure you have coverage on the extra attacker here.
10 seconds left on the power play. And the Beacons tying it up in the corner.
Huge.
Stick down. It's sailing. It's going to be wide.
No icing. Power play was still on the clock. That's huge.
A minute to go. It's 6-on-5 now as the Beacons back to full strength.
No more icing. I don't know if they recognize this yet. They do.
Battle in the neutral zone. It's going to squib not quite behind the net. 40 seconds to play. Now here comes the change of possession. Jiwa once again trying to go coast to coast. Fires, but it's high and into the netting. Azam Jiwa has tried to do this about once every maybe 8 minutes of game time. He's tried to take it himself.
He's getting close.
Yeah, he's come very close a couple of times now.
I'd think about a timeout. I mean, you can't take them with you. Huskies already have the chalkboard out, so they're going to take it, I think, for sure.
And it looks like you're right. 32.7 seconds on the clock. The Beacons back to even strength after the expiration of the Keegan penalty. What should the Beacons be looking for here from the Huskies? What's the counter?
A lot of things they can throw at them. I think the way these Huskies play, they like to come in with speed. Doesn't seem like they've got a ton of guys on this team that can really let it go. Now, for me, I like to play just simple, try to get the simple win and throw everybody at the net, get my best my defenseman who can get it through or has the best percentage on getting it through, and just try to scramble for one. That's traditionally how you see these types of goals go in. If you're the Beacons, the biggest thing you got to do is make sure if we lose the draw, what is our assignment? Where are we going? Who has what? Do we know what our assignment is? If we win it, great. We can run a play. There's 32 seconds here. We should be able to clear. And you can take a look at on your screen right now. Steven Bucco, great offensive player here. He was in my class at UMass. You can tell he's running the ship. So he's telling everybody exactly what they're going to be doing on a win, what they're going to be doing on a loss here. If you're the center, got to make sure righty-lefty, you know what you're trying to do, right? That's big on these centers. So you just got to make sure you don't lose it clean. That's the big one for the Beacons. Don't lose it clean. And if you're the Huskies, if you do lose it, got to make sure you attack. Possession is everything here. 32 seconds. You can tell, and even that coming out of the timeout, the Beacons still talking about with the players on the ice just to reconfirm everything that was just taught to them.
Desmarais and Walker on the draw.
Big win.
And it's a massive win for the Beacons. 30 seconds to go. Huskies take it back. It's blocked in front. Walker, there's a lost stick. Coming back out onto the ice is Christopher Morrison. 20 seconds to go, and the Huskies keeping it in their offensive zone. Back up to the blue line. Fired in. Blocked on its way through. Keegan burns a few seconds, flips it off the boards. 8 seconds to go. Takeaway, Duncan. 3 seconds to play. Poked away. The Beacons survive. It's a 3-2 conference win for UMass Boston. and alumni weekend starts the right way.
Well, we talked about it in the pregame that somehow, regardless of the record of this Husky team, they always find a way to play the Beacons close. No matter if it's in Maine or if it's here in Boston, these games have a way of just always finding a way to be close. And you saw in that third period here, the Huskies really, that was a significant push. They got that second goal, and you could kind of feel the Beacons got a little bit on edge. They started to kind of think, oh boy, are we really going to blow this? And found a way to hang on. And it got hairy. I thought that shot at the end there had a chance of getting through. Huskies had 3, maybe 4 players in front of the net. If that one gets through, I don't like the Beacons' odds, but it didn't happen. Beacons walk out of here with a 3-2 W.
Well, we saw a number of goals tonight for both sides, but particularly for the Huskies that were a little bit atypical. Had that puck kind of gently sliding across the crease, and a couple of guys, I think, whiffed on it. It was almost like it was a changeup that was tossed at them, and then you had, like you mentioned, that rip from the blue line that you have to imagine best was screened.
Yeah,
as good a shot as it was.
Yeah.
You have to imagine it was screened on a wrister from that far away. And does it make you worried a little bit more if the goals that are coming in are the ones that you wouldn't think to prevent? Does it make you feel a little bit better because you know you're not actually making mistakes that are opening up shots in the slot? It can kind of go either way.
Yeah, and just hockey, right? Like, pucks have a way of just finding their way to the back of the net, and I like the response from the Beacons there. This isn't just a solid home win for a team that's finding their way here in the second half, and now I believe in the last month that's 8 W's, I believe, that they've totaled, so out of a possible 10. So really doing well. I think you've got to like where this team is at, and now they've got really good momentum against the Beavers tomorrow, Alumni Day. I've got to find a way to get some good rest tonight so I can make sure I bring my A game for the alumni game that morning and then have enough left in the tank for the broadcast and then perhaps the night on the town. So it's a big day tomorrow. Hopefully this Beacons team can get us started with a W.
Well, for anybody who wants to come watch Matt play tomorrow, you can absolutely do so. What time is the game for those who want to
10 a.m.
spectate? 10 a.m.
Grab your donkeys.
Well, if you're well, who are you most looking forward to playing against? And are you going to be you going to be shoulder checking anybody? Is there anybody you're looking forward to dropping?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm sure some guys are probably going out tonight, so we'll see who can actually answer the bell. I know some of these guys, I won't name names, but have a tough time the morning after, so we'll see. I might have to
pick. It's about discipline all these years later.
That's right. I might have to pick on the weakest link. We'll see.
We're going to take you to the final stats before we say goodbye. Remember, this was a 5-goal game. Goals for goals for Ilott and for Sabourin on the Husky side. Goals for Jacob Banks, Corey Clifton, and Dakota Kincannon on the UMass Boston side. Almost all of these goals coming unassisted, save for that first Huskies goal from Sabourin. But before we get to the final stats, anyone you want to shout out today who isn't up on that screen right now?
Yeah, I'll take a liberty. I think I like the first line. Manzo had a couple questionable penalties, so I'll mention his name just because I think he's one of their best players. But him and Friedman, that top line with Clifton, and you know what I really liked was Banks. His name is up there. He got the third goal. I really thought he was around the net all night. I thought Blake Coleman had a good game. He got injured in the third. We mentioned his name. He did a good job quarterbacking that power play. Ryan Bogan. There were a lot of Beacons that I could look at and say, wow, they logged some heavy minutes tonight and were a difference in a W and an L.
We saw some very good play from that second line from Caden Ilott as well on the Southern Maine side. Azam Jiwa had, you go 10 minutes without mentioning his name, without remembering he was out there, and then he would go coast to coast, show off some serious speed, some serious skill as well. We're going to take you to the final stats, the team stats. And once again, the shot margin has lasted. The saves, again, kind of need to shout out Mason Palmer, who really made a case for more playing time here today. Stood very tough in net and made, I think, one of the more ridiculous saves we're going to see this season.
Yeah, he made a few of them. But, yeah, that reverse, I don't even know what you call that. Facing the wrong way, was able to save it.
Blind save?
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that stands out to me here, Milton, is take a look at the second-ranked power play in the conference going 0 for 4. So credit, we didn't really talk about that on air in the period, but here, taking a look at that, you got to credit the penalty kill. A lot of little things, right? You talk about the little things that lead to a W. It's things like that that I think kept this team, right? Beacons had control for most of it, but it got a little bit edgy there at the end, and they were able to hang on.
For UMass Boston, the next game is going to be, like Matt mentioned, here tomorrow. They're facing off against Babson. This is alumni weekend. It's going to be after the alumni game. For Southern Maine, they're going to move on from this one to square off against Johnson and Wales tomorrow. UMass Boston taking an important win here, a team that they probably feel that they should beat, and a team where they came through. Certainly, I think they'd like to see more than a 1-goal margin, but on balance, it's back to the winning ways. Their second consecutive win going back to last weekend against NEC. We're going to say a quick thank you to our team. We had all hands on deck here today. Michael Vesci, our producer, Maria Spilios in the director's chair, switching between those lovely camera angles. Gina Albano, Manny Zayas, Katie Rennie, and Josh Eastman operating those 4 cameras. Tam Landry on the graphics, and Elena Albano on the replay ops. Once again, the final score from UMass Boston. The Beacons take it 3-2 over the Southern Maine Huskies. For Matt Meisenbacher and our entire production crew, I'm Milton Posner, saying thank you so very much for being with us, and have a lovely rest of your weekend.